y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina, and today I want to share a point that I have been slowly walking out of for a little bit. So how do I even start this? It's in relation to this point of like when you change, your relationships change. Okay, so for example, my partner and I got together almost 10 years ago. And, who I was in relationships in my past was very much based on who I was within myself, which was not really sure of myself, a lot of insecurities, looking a lot for external validation and acceptance and appreciation. And so I sought like relationships externally, and I fucking thrived in relationships because they gave me a sense of self. So that was kind of the starting point. So when I met my partner, it was kind of funny because I was on like a year search. I like to say I was on the prowl looking for a mate, and going on dates and trying to I had no kind of qualms about approaching people and asking them out and stuff like that. And so it was like a year quest. I was like trying to find a man, and it just was futile. It wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't finding anyone that was really like, a zinger for me. Till I realized like, oh my God, okay, stop. What are you doing? You're looking so much for something outside of yourself, because it became kind of like this like desperate thing, this like obsessive thing, this thing that like I was so consumed by, like looking for a mate, looking for a mate, looking for a mate. So it's like, stop, bring it back. All you're looking for is yourself, right? Like when you are like in a point of need of something external for you, you're actually searching for yourself. So I was like, stop, I really need to just focus on myself and let this external point go, because that's all I'm looking for. I'm not actually looking for a partner. I'm actually just looking for a relationship with myself. And so I dropped it. And then a month later, I met my husband. So that's kind of a fun, like cool point of feedback, like give up what you think you need and what you want shows up. So anyways, we got together, and the point that I entered that relationship still very much with that like need for validation, need for acceptance, needing like a sense of self. And we have been together 10 years. So 8 years into our relationship, we're married, we decided to have kids. So we started trying, and we got pregnant fairly quick. And after my son Phoenix was born, he gifted me a reflection of innocence and a reflection of my true nature of life, which is this pure, innocent baby. And so what he initiated for me was this process of like awakening and remembering who I am and myself. And I really started like diving deep into my relationship with myself, really making myself a priority, learning to establish like, okay, who am I? What do I like? What do I need? What do I want to do? Like really just like focusing in on myself. But when I did that, my relationships changed, because I no longer was seeking so externally for myself in other points. It's like I let them go, and now all of a sudden the relationships that I had created with that starting point of like, how do I explain this? So I was so separated from myself, I looked externally for myself in relationships. But now that I was busy going inward and reconnecting and reestablishing that relationship with myself, those relationships that were built on my separation of myself started to crumble. I started to be in conflict with them because they were no longer in alignment with who I was and who I am. And that went for my relationship with my husband. We went into a lot of conflict. The last 2 years have been the most challenging 2 years of our relationship. And it was shocking and really hard for us because we so clearly had such an instant connection, and communication was so easy, and we got along so well, and we had the same sense of humor, and it was just all good and all love. It was just so perfect, our relationship for 10 years. So it was really hard to go into this point of like, now we're in conflict. And what I can see is that it very much was because I was changing, and now all of a sudden he no longer represented something I needed, because that's the thing. I used not deliberately, not in awareness, but I used a relationship with him to get a sense of self, to get validation, to get something to define myself by. And now that I was no longer doing that, that relationship started to die. And like for me too, it was like the attraction was really strong for me. And what I understand about attraction is that it signifies something that you see in another person that you haven't yet recognized in yourself. And oh my God, I was so attracted to this man. He was so beautiful to me. He was like this brilliant artist, and he was stoic and deep and insightful beautiful. And I was just like, oh my God, he's so beautiful. And then all of a sudden I didn't have that attraction to him anymore. All of a sudden I had like a repulsion. All of a sudden I was like, I don't want to even be near you. What is happening? And what I can see now looking back and us walking this process together, and thank God for him being so committed to this relationship, because I don't know how many times I was ready to end it because I didn't understand what I was experiencing. You know, I started looking and I can see now looking back is that he no longer represented this point that I was using to validate myself. I started validating myself. I started reassuring myself. I started being there for myself. I started establishing the relationship with myself that was always needed to be there to have real relationships with other people that weren't based on abuse or dependency or using them. And so now all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? Because I'm not attracted to this person anymore. We have to start over. We have to start over completely and relearn about each other, because I'm new and he's new, of course. Like, you know, going through any big life, you know, experience, you become new, and having a baby together, you become new. So it's like we're at the beginning again, and it's kind of fun from that perspective, because there's that potential of, oh sweet, we get another honeymoon phase. But really it's like we get an opportunity now to relearn and get to know each other and to create a real relationship based on who I really am. At least I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you that yes, we had a good solid relationship for the last decade, but I can tell you right now who I am right now is the more real me I've ever been. And so now we have a real opportunity to get to know each other for real and establish a real relationship with the real selves, which is like so exciting. So this is a little bit of all over the place. I kind of just wanted to get this point out because I started to really kind of see this point more clearly this last week, and so I wanted to share while it's fresh, and perhaps I'll come back in time and share more and let it be a little bit more clear. But I just wanted to share that point of, if you start a relationship and it's really strong attraction and desire and you're just really into it, and then give it some time and it reverts to the opposite, you know, consider that attraction, what you were using this person for. How were you using this person to give you something you weren't giving yourself? Because truly that's the point of attraction that can support us. Like, there's nothing wrong with attraction, but oftentimes it means that we're seeing something in someone else we haven't yet recognized in ourselves, and so we want them because now we can, you know, exist and participate with this point. Whereas if we were standing fully self-assured and fulfilled and whole as our own unique individual person without needing anything external, now we can establish some real relationships with people where it's not based on codependency, abuse, self-hate, you know, like, because that's really what's happening. So many of us form relationships and thinking and believing that we need this external point to validate me, to give me something because I'm lacking something, instead of realizing if we fill ourselves up, now we have more to give. We fill our cup up, now we can give to another. My cup runneth over, you know? Like, that's the type of relationship you want. One that the people and the individuals and participants are fully self-fulfilled. Their cups are filled with and as themselves, and they don't need something from another. And now all of a sudden you can really enjoy a relationship because it's not about what can I get from this person, it's about what can I give to this person. And that's really the goal, I think, for us as humanity, to get to that point where we're all self-fulfilled. So now we have enough to give to each other. And perhaps that's the secret of getting ourselves out of this survival mindset and into a world of abundance and harmony. Each individual has to take responsibility to fill their own cup, to become self-fulfilled with self-love, self-honoring, so that we're full and filled with life that we are, and now we have stuff to give, and now we can share this love with another person and the world. Thanks for walking with. See you next time.